This episode is brought to you by the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. A beloved Denver tradition, DCPA's production of A Christmas Carol is a holiday classic and an essential must-see for the holiday season. Broadway World calls the show, quote, a splendidly festive tradition for the whole family that illuminates the meaning of the holiday season in a way that has resonated for generations. A Christmas Carol is on stage now through December 24th at DCPA's Wolf Theater. Tickets available at denvercenter.org. That's denvercenter.org. Today on CityCast Denver, hundreds of migrants are arriving every week in a city struggling to house folks already living here. But Denverites are organizing to help, armed with spreadsheets, hot meals, open doors, and feisty Facebook groups. So why does one new survey say Denver isn't feeling the holiday spirit this year? I've got our own Green Chili and politics correspondent Justine Sandoval on today to help me break it all down. Today is Tuesday, December 12th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Hi, Justine.
Hi, Bree.
Did you put your holiday tamale order in yet?
Not yet. I'm debating how ambitious I feel if I should make them myself.
I admire anybody that makes them because the labor is
Yeah, I probably won't.
intense.
But I will be probably a latecomer in the line for La Casita. Did you see that article about how many tamales they make
18,000 a day?
a day?
They have their own special state-of-the-art steamers to make that many tamales. Isn't that amazing?
I had no clue. And my respect level just tripled.
I felt the same way. I was up late last night putting in my revision order before they were done for the season. So I've got my old pork and red chili tamales, and then I'm going to try their sweet ones, which theirs have pineapple in them.
Oh,
so
I've never been a fan of sweet ones, so I never really try them. But maybe this might be the year.
There are so many different kinds of sweet ones. I would say try a couple, Okay, before we get started, listeners, we need your help with something. We're picking our wins and fails of the year on this Friday show, and we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think were the biggest wins and the biggest fails here in Denver this year. The biggest flops, the biggest victories, things that defined us in the Mile High in 2023. Send us a text or leave us a voicemail at the Wins and Fails hotline, 720-500-5418. Again, that number is 720-500-5418. And please let us know before Thursday morning. First story. Pressing in my world as a holiday freak. Apparently, Colorado's a very Grinchy place. The Colorado Sun shared results of a recent survey from online gaming outfit casino.org. Colorado came in number 2 as the number 2 state in America, behind Oklahoma as having the most Grinch-like attitude towards Christmas. We don't like caroling. We don't like eggnog. We don't like gingerbread houses. Justine, are you a Grinch?
I don't want to take it so far and say I'm a Grinch, but when I read this, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. So I was thinking, why is this? Why do I feel the Grinchiness creeping in during Christmas in Colorado?
Yeah.
And I think one is it's cold here.
Fair.
I've spent the holidays in warmer places, and I noticed the attitude's a lot different than when you're cold and your car is covered in ice and you have to run errands.
Sure.
So I think that, and then the drivers are really bad, so I think that adds to the stress.
But how do you feel about eggnog? I thought that was an interesting indicator to me.
I'm more of a coquito person.
Fair.
So not huge on eggnog. Once again, that warmer climate thing creeping in. But yeah, I think that there's, people are just so inundated with the holidays early on. I think that Grinchiness starts to creep in. And then, when you factor in the weather, the cost of living in Denver,
yes.
I think you're trying to manage paying rent and buying gifts
and
for the holiday.
And some people's like the new year starting, maybe your rent's going to go up.
Yep.
I could see where it could be
totally
not so fun this time of year.
So I think a lot of that factors in. For me personally, too, I live in an area that's very touristy. So everybody's there enjoying the holidays, and I'm just trying to slog through as best as I can and find parking in my neighborhood. So there's that piece of it, too. I'm like, I get it. That's a really cool pop-up Christmas bar, but I just want to go home. Like, please.
I just don't, this doesn't resonate with me at all. I'm a Christmas freak. I love Christmas. I love Christmas music. I love Christmas lights. I live for this season. So I'm sorry that you're having that experience, but apparently you and a lot of people in Colorado.
I'm glad I'm not alone. And that actually brings some Christmas cheer to my heart.
Okay, our next story is, I kind of want to start with what you've been doing, Justine, which is, you've been volunteering with Migrants, and it's been almost a year since migrants from South and Central America started arriving here in Denver, sort of in large amounts. We've now had more than 30,000 people arrive here in need of shelter, jobs, basic things, healthcare. I saw there's I think 2,000 students have entered DPS. So there's a lot of kids too. But Justine, you've been volunteering. What are you doing and what are you seeing?
So I had been trying to get more involved in things going on in my community. And I recently had a friend reach out who had plugged me into a Facebook network of different community members who are working to fill in all of these aid gaps from the money and services that the city cannot provide to this large influx of people coming in. So there's a camp right in my neighborhood, and there's a group of volunteers who have their special Facebook page, and they are working together to do some pretty amazing things. I am, first of all, so impressed by all of these people, mostly women, lots of women organizing, women from all different backgrounds coming together to do what they can. But we have spreadsheets organized so we know who's bringing meals into the camps. We've organized even just clothing items. So there's not an inundation of things just being dropped off.
Yeah, that was my worry too, was if it's not organized, you get a ton of one thing and then you don't get the thing that folks really need.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of these groups have been doing that are strictly volunteers who are just doing this on their free time. They've done a really good job at finding out exactly what people need, because then we run into the whole issue, of trash and just nothing that's helpful. We want to be as helpful and as thoughtful as possible. We've been working. I've been volunteering with different people and coordinating to take meals down. We just served lunch yesterday. We've helped serve dinner, and people are there providing all three meals, getting families and housing. A lot of what I've seen too are people really taking an interest in these people's individuals. So if we find out someone has a talent, they've worked to get them a guitar, or to get specific birthdays for the children in the camp, making sure that they're being celebrated and they're being recognized as individuals. So that's been really heartwarming, and being there has been eye-opening about the entire situation for me that I didn't even realize was going on.
What did you see that surprised you or that you just weren't aware of?
One of the things was how many people are showing up per day.
The amount of folks, the influx of migrants, how many people?
Yes, people are arriving daily to Denver. And that's because we are a welcoming city too. And you're seeing a lot of people stick around because we are doing such a great job helping people.
And there's not an active sort of feeling of aggression towards those folks like we're maybe seeing in other states where?
Yeah, definitely. Denverites are just being great per usual. So they're really opening up their home, literally homes. There are people that are housing families in their home. There's always the Grinches who are, speaking of Grinches, are people why don't you put these people in your home? People are
really doing that.
People are really housing people. So it's been really impressive. And then when you're there, you're getting a lot of the inside information about, what's going on as far as what the city's doing, the experiences people are having, going through all of that process. So,
well, I'm glad you brought up too, celebrating birthdays or just bringing someone a guitar, the things that we don't necessarily think about as housed folks who are going about our days too, where they're in a huge transition space. So they're looking for the basics: food, shelter, healthcare, access to restrooms, stuff like that. But also just they're human beings.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to listen to music or celebrate a birth. It just seems so no duh. But I'm glad you brought that up because it's something I don't think we read always in the stories, the reported stories of it.
Yeah.
So, but I do, before we move on, I know you got a little hot goss. There's some there's some groups that are maybe trying to outdo each other in terms of how they're helping people.
Well, I just thought so these aid groups and these Facebook groups, it's all over the city, and everybody, I just want to reemphasize how amazing this work
It's
is.
like straight mutual aid, people showing up for each other.
I love it.
No organizations, just humans.
Yep, just human beings, and it's wonderful. But I did see someone had sent me a screenshot from one of the Central Park groups poking fun at the Highlands mommies. Like, don't let the Highlands mommies' names fool you. They're doing great work. And I'm like, okay, Central Park moms. You do not think that you are like more down to earth than the Highlands moms. Okay, chill out. Everyone's here to help. But I mean, this could be really good.
I was
these
just
are
going to
people's
say,
resources.
it's just motivation.
Let them compete.
No, I've heard that too. I've heard that from a lot of folks. Is like a lot of folks in like higher income neighborhoods are like showing up with really nice baby stuff. And, you know, I have a kid. I know how quick you go through some things where like you'll use something for 3 months and it's still in perfectly good condition. So it's really nice to know that maybe that's a little bit of friendly competition.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good. That just means everybody wants to show up. Everyone wants to help. And I guess I'm a little biased in favor of the Highlands mommies because
they're truly
Northside moms. We're doing the work. So go Highlands mommies.
It's so awesome, though, to hear that it's happening across the city, right? Because you're an East Sider. You're seeing this on the North Side. You're seeing this in Central Park, which is like on the other side of town. Folks are showing up, understanding that if we're trying to help over 30,000 people, it is going to take us as well as the city, as well as tons of amazing nonprofits to do a lot of work just to get people into a safe place.
Yeah, it's really heartwarming. And then the other side of it, too, is just realizing how many people don't have basic resources, don't have a stable place to live throughout the year. And it really makes us think about, how we treat human beings and how we distribute resources across the globe and why people are put in these situations.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's something that we're doing as community in a really great way.
Good job, Denver.
Yeah, that's a positive thing. We're winning. That's a win for us. This episode is brought to you by the Colfax Avenue Business Improvement District. This holiday season, give the gift of local love with a bag of Colfax. Picture this, a gift bag filled with 4 to 6 hand-picked products from your favorite spots along Colfax Avenue. Places like the Learned Lemur, 303 Boards, and Balanced Root Apothecary, just to name a few. Want the VIP experience? Upgrade to the VIP bag, and your goodies will come packed in a durable tote made from upcycled material from vintage Colfax street banners. How cool is that? While the specific contents of the bags are a mystery, every single bag will have a locally made lavender-scented candle that celebrates Denver's queer cultural district, Lavender Hill. Every bag is completely customized. Tell the Colfax Ave team a bit about yourself or the lucky recipient at checkout, and they'll handpick items that they know you'll love. Love surprises? Leave the preferences box blank and embrace the mystery. Head to colfaxave.com to grab your bag of Colfax today. This episode is brought to you by the Museum of Illusions, Denver. Located on the 16th Street Mall at Curtis Street, this museum has over 60 mind-bending illusions that will play with your perceptions and engage your brain. Combining education and entertainment with hyperlocal exhibits, guests can take photos inside a moving tunnel and enter a gravity-defying RTD light rail car. And this holiday season, the Museum of Illusions is bringing Santa. He will be at the museum on December 18th and 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to take photos with families and kids. This special event will be included in the price of a regular admission to the museum, and the museum expects to sell out, so don't wait to reserve your tickets. Tickets for specific dates and time slots can be purchased at moidenver.com. That's moidenver.com. But this kind of ties into to the House 1000 story. We've been following this, the Johnson administration's plan to house 1,000 people by the end of 2023. Johnson is expected to get 500 people housed after the city closed a couple camps last week. And Denverite reported that at that point, the city dashboard was saying around 317 people so far had been housed. With these 2 camp closures, they should be looking at about 500 people. But there's 2 weeks left of 2023. Justine, do you think the mayor's gonna hit that goal?
It's hard to tell. I think they were saying there's about 300 people left in that gap to get into housing by the end of the year. I really hope they do, but after that's done, there's still about 8,000 more people to go.
Right. It's not like the problem stops.
Exactly.
You know?
So I know that, the mayor's office is really working hard to meet those goals. And I think it's promising that they are working so hard. And it was really promising to read about the sweeps last week because they actually had somewhere to go, unlike before when we were sweeping people to move along to where.
I found that to be the most striking part of that story, too, was talking to folks in the encampments. They were saying, yeah, usually this has happened to me before, but with the previous administration, it was just keep going. And at least with Johnson administration, they said, here's a bus. We're going to take you somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we all want a magic solution. We all want this to be solved overnight. It's not, but I think that was promising because, there's an extra piece now that actually leads people to hopefully a better situation. I think one person, one of the articles I read, had been on the street for 8 years.
Yeah.
And they were just like, this is just so nice to just be somewhere where the door is locked. You're not controlled by a shelter and you can bring your partner with you.
I was going to say, if you have family or maybe you have a pet, which is why a lot of folks don't take the shelter option. This intersects, though, with this conversation we were having about migrants because 9 News reported that the city had rented a hotel, but that hotel was actually already housing unhoused folks from Denver and Aurora. And according to the folks that were living in this hotel, the manager or the owner just kicked them out to make room for the migrants. And so it's kind of this like very complicated situation where we're trying to serve a lot of people at once. And I don't know. I don't want to think that we have to think about pitting people against each other, but I can see where this can be a real struggle.
Oh, yeah. I think this has been, and this is one thing I did pick up from people while volunteering at the migrant camps, is that there is definitely a limited amount of resources and 2 groups competing for them. And the city's also trying to fulfill this House 1,000 situation. So they're in a tight spot. There's just not enough to go around. And it's really unfortunate and scary, I think, for a lot of people and for the city of how they're going to deal with this. They had ramped up money and resources to take care of unhoused population here. And then you add in the 30,000 people who have shown up who also need help and aid. And we're trying to figure out how to deal with it. So it really comes down to like just a finite amount of resources for people.
For sure. If someone's listening who's like you and is like, I really want to do more, where did you go? How did you start? How did you get involved?
Well, like I said, someone had reached out to me and then I was able to discover all of these really great groups on Facebook. So, do some search. They're usually like location. So if you know a location of the camps and then migrant camp. So like I work with the I-70 and Pecos group. There's also just different groups for the different camps. So online, look on your online resources. The city of Denver is also asking for a lot of help.
Yeah.
So there are volunteer opportunities with the city. They're especially looking for Spanish-speaking volunteers. And they're really trying to do a lot to make the holidays really special. So the city is doing a toy drive, which you can go online and look up the different lists for toys to donate. A lot of people in the camps are doing holiday celebrations because we've been there serving meals, but we haven't actually sat down and had a meal. So we're going to make sure that we do that at our camp. But yeah, there's lots of ways. Definitely look into City and County Denver. There are drop-off locations too if you have donations.
Yes.
Like I said, don't just drop them off at the camps. They're very organized about how they're getting that.
Yeah,
those
I think
items
there's
out.
2. We can put a link in the show notes, but there's 2 specific sites where they're taking donations for the migrant families, and that's like coats and just clothes, especially for kids.
Yes,
They need
winter
all kinds of
boots. We have a
things.
whole shortage of winter boots. You have people are coming here from warmer climates, and I've seen a lot of people just double wool socking with sandals, and we can't have that. We need to make sure people have
And I
proper
know a
winter
lot
gear.
of us have closets full of shoes we're not wearing.
Yes.
Just bag them up. Now it's time to hear from our wonderful listeners. You folks reach out to us. You share your thoughts and feelings about things that we talk about on the show. And we've got a couple comments from the CityCast Denver hotline. So this is actually an email from Aaron from Wash Park. Hey, CityCast, I have a random question that I've been mulling over lately. Denver has 2 large blue animal statues, Blucifer and the Conference Center Bear. I'm going to talk a little bit about what those are called in a minute because they're pieces of art, but they're known as Blucifer and the Big Blue Bear. What do you think is the relationship between the 2? Are they friends, enemies, family, something else? I personally lean towards star-crossed lovers cursed to never meet, but my sister voted for sworn enemies who are secretly in love. Anyway, I thought I'd throw you a weird one today. LOL. Thanks as always. Thanks, Aaron. Well, okay, Justine, have you ever thought about the relationship between these two pieces of public art?
Yes, I think they're enemies, and they're going to have an epic battle through the city like Godzilla and Mothra. And actually, I saw an artist draw that during the Chalk Art Festival in here.
Yeah. They draw this battle really happening.
That's how I see it. Like, yeah, when it all goes down, there's going to be the battle for Denver, the Blue Bear versus Blucifer.
So the Big Blue Bear is actually called I See What You Mean. I know, not as catchy. It's by an artist named Lawrence Argent. And then Blucifer is also actually known as the Blue Mustang by Luis Jimenez. I have actually never thought of these two things in context to each other.
Wow.
They kind of exist in separate worlds to me. So I don't know. I think of them like I think of the French fry stack. They're a piece of art I acknowledge that like are demarcations of a part of the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
no, I think
that thought.
I think of the epic battle, and I think Blucifer. I'm Team Blucifer would win
for sure
the battle.
The red eyes for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've got a voicemail.
Hi, this is Courtney calling from Ruby Hill. I was listening to last week's episodes about retrofitting buildings downtown and the Johnson administration mandating that all their employees go back to working downtown. And just wanted to float an idea that I think a great use of empty office space would be on-site childcare, which very few companies and workplaces do in Denver, or really America. I think there's only one tech company in Denver that does it, but I feel like it really would be a great way to help two different aspects of getting people downtown, but also making sure that you're supporting your employees. And there's so much empty office space. I think people could definitely make it happen. So just wanted to weigh in with an idea. Love CCast Denver. Thanks so much for all you do. Bye.
I love this idea. What do you think, Justine?
Courtney, you are a genius.
I know.
I'm 100% on board. Do you know the cost of childcare in Colorado is the same cost as a year of tuition in community college?
I am honestly not surprised at all. Like, we have a very affordable childcare situation because our parents watch our son half-time, but I have friends that have kids in full-time care, and it's like more than their mortgage. It's like, you know what I mean? And so also the accessibility of having a childcare in where you work is like invaluable, especially if your kid's sick or, you know what I mean? And you don't have to go somewhere else before you go to work. You take your kid with you. It's so smart, Courtney.
I love it.
I love this idea.
It's a whole layer of reproductive rights and justice too.
Yes.
Is, having children, and then us doing the crazy thing of supporting parents, and the infrastructure of raising children our work infrastructure should be built around helping people raise healthy, happy, safe children.
Totally. It's
like
really, it's something I regret that I didn't think about as much until I had a kid. And now I think about it everywhere I go. Like, is this something I can bring my kid to? Then I can't come. Like,
yeah,
that's something for social activities, but for work, you don't have a choice. You have to go to work. So great idea, Courtney. I love it. Okay. Well, Justine, thanks for joining me today. This was so fun.
It was my pleasure.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell Cindy Lou Who about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya!
Oh, you need you need something going out, hanging out with friends. I'm like, give me some of that
I used to
sweet
drink Red
bean
Bulls
juice.
every once in a while.